but not in this one.
Okay, that's what I like about this book. It gives you a little suspense after each chapter. You know, something you want to know. You know, so
So
yes,
yes.
Yvonne, go ahead.
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
So I'm starting recording for
all
that
right.
one.
Okay.
Okay, so this is chapter 7 of The Giver. And I titled this, the chapters didn't have any titles. I chaptered this one, The Ceremony of 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you may remember back in chapter 1, Jonas was feeling apprehensive about December arriving because the ceremony of 12s was coming. So in chapter 7, it finally gets here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going through all the ceremonies, and this is the ceremony of 12 we're going to describe here. And that's the time, as we know, that people become adults and they get their work assignment, what they're going to be doing for the rest of their lives until they enter the house of the old. So let's begin with some questions about this chapter. What is the significance of, or the importance of a child's number that he's given at birth?
Number it's just a ordinal number in the year when the baby arrives arrived.
Okay,
I
50
think
babies. Yeah, 50 babies a year. So
Yes.
you're given a number in the order you're born. Okay, your
mhm.
birth number, if you will. Okay. What's the significance of it? Is it important?
I think so because it's kind of identify the child because it's very normal when you are signing up in a hospital, on the library, on the school, you get your ID number, is your identification. So it's more easy for to get your records by your number. So I think it's kind of organized, is identification, is control. So what
Okay.
is my idea?
All right. Vasant?
Yes, what we learned from the previous chapter is they are named at the age of 1, I think. So
Uh-huh.
until then, they have to call the baby. They have to identify those baby by naming such a number with numbers, I think.
That's a good point. That is their double quote name before they're one. Okay, that's a good point. All right, and what else? At the ceremony of 12, when all the 11s sit in a section, how do they sit? How are they called to the ceremony?
Well, I think they had number, but it can identify the girl or the boy who born first. Is kind of in chronological time, is who who was born on February, who is the next one, and the older. So they are organized to the older, no, to the younger, to the older. Yes.
Right, and that's going to be basically by birth number because they're
Yeah.
numbered in the order they're born. So,
Yes.
all right, so at the ceremony, they sit in order of their birth number, 1, 2 to 50.
Yes.
And they're called up to get their assignment in birth order number 1, 2, 3. And if you want to brag about who's the oldest, you can say, well, I was number 10. What's your number? I was number 20. Ah, I'm older than you. You know,
Exactly.
so a little bit of seniority, but not much. Okay.
For a couple of months, I think.
And there's one more use of numbers that was mentioned in the chapter. When do parents use their numbers?
Oh, Where the kid is, having a bad behavior, is kind of bothering the kid. You are 23, or you are 50, or you are 50, or you are 11. So they don't call for your name. They call you by your birth number.
Okay,
It's
so
kind
when a
of
parent is angry at the child, they'll call them by their number. 23, go to your room.
yeah.
Okay. Now, in English, when we get angry at a child, we call them by their full name. First name, middle name, last name.
Oh.
Okay. John Q. Wright, go to your room. Okay. So if we use the full name, that's how we do it in America. We just call them by their full name. That means we're mad. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I have a question. What is the difference between mad and to be angry?
Mad and angry, same thing.
Is the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing. Okay. What was Jonas's full birth number? If you know what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think it's 1119.
Okay. And can you explain why it's 1119?
Because how do you know that? 11 is the age of him.
Okay, he's in
He's
group 11.
angry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 19 was his birth number. So 11-19 tells you that he was born 11 years ago, and he was number 19 in that year out of 50 babies. Okay, good. Is it possible to have two 11-19s in a year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Toriel says it is possible to have two 11-19s in a year. Okay. Can you explain
Yes.
that? Can you explain that, Toriel?
Well, I know exactly the right answer, but I think because there is a female named Harriet, she and Jonas have the same 19, because she's becoming in 11 and Jonas is becoming 12. So it's a couple of hours they can get duplicate numbers.
Okay.
But I don't know what is exactly why. So probably they born in the same month.
Well, they were both number 19.
Yeah.
It's not the month, it's just the order of birth.
Okay.
So they were both 19th in their year. She's 10, he's 11.
Mm-hmm.
She has her ceremony first. So he's 11-19, she's 10-19.
Mm-hmm.
But her ceremony's first. So after her ceremony, she's 11-19 and he's 11-19. But then he has his ceremony and then he becomes 12-19.
Mm-hmm.
So they're only 11-19 together for the time between the 11 ceremony and the 12 ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a short time that they have the same number. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to describe some new people that were mentioned in this chapter. Harriet, you just mentioned. You said it was a female, and she's also number 19 in her year.
Mm-hmm.
Who was Madeline?
Come on, guys. She was the first one to get her assignment.
Okay, Madeline was number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And Inger Vasant, who was Inger?
I think I forgot it. Okay.
Mhm.
She's on page 23.
Okay. Is that a she? Then she must be the birth mother, I think.
Okay. Inger was a birth mother. Okay.
What we learned from that is she is a little bit lazy,
Mhm.
and that's why they give her such a assignment.
She has also a strong body. She's
Okay. So lazy but healthy. Okay. All right. Good. All right. And Isaac. Yvonne, would you like to tackle Isaac, who he was? You're muted if you're trying to talk. Okay, Toriel, how about you? Isaac?
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Isaac was assigned as instructor of sixes.
Okay, and what was kind of unique to the instructor of sixes?
Let me find.
Compared to other instructors?
Well, because of the sixes. Oh, let me see.
Or maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking about the instructor of threes. Never mind. So he was just an instructor of six. Okay.
Yeah, it's just instructor of sixes because on the history they talk more about the instructor of threes, who is the person in charge to to teach the kids how to speak properly.
Correct words. Okay, good. All right, and Pierre Vassant. Who was Pierre?
Pierre was 1120, who sat beside Jonas, and he is a tattletale name. His character was described as a tattletale. Yes, I think he is a tattletale.
Jonas did not like them, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. And describe the position of the chief elder. What do we know about that position?
May I? We know from this chapter that it's she, and she is a host of the ceremony. She is speaking. She is providing new assignments. How to say it? Claims that. How say it all out.
Okay.
What else? Probably it's a speaker of the Chamber of Elders.
Okay. Speaks for all the elders. How is she elected or appointed?
Yes, she elected for 10 years. Every 10 years they have some election.
Okay. And we can see behind me that she's played by Meryl Streep in the movie, and she looks kind of strict, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
She plays a good, mean-looking, follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. What is the polite thing to do when one yawns in this society?
Mm-hmm. Asher covered his mouth politely with his hand.
Okay.
I'm wrong?
Nope, I'm just trying to find the text. Okay. All right. This is true in the Western, well, let me say American culture anyway. If we yawn or cough or sneeze, achoo, we always cover our mouth to prevent
out.
spreading disease and just showing people, you know, nasty teeth or something. So we always cover our mouth in English when we burp or sneeze or cough or yawn. It's just polite to cover the mouth, okay? So same in this society because it was written by I guess an American. Okay. And what was a special duty of the instructor of threes? Charles covered this, but would you like to repeat it?
Ivan, I think he can do it. So.
Okay.
Instructor of threes, he or she is in charge of right language, of speaking ability of the child.
Okay, so use precise language. Don't exaggerate. Don't say, we know the words that get mixed up. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so he teaches precision of language. Okay.
And there is a funny story that one of this teacher, as they said, was retrospectively, I cannot say that.
Retrospectively. Okay.
Retrospectively punished because of one of his students. This funny guy, I forgot his name. Asher, maybe.
Asher had the funny incident. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean that his teacher, his instructor of threes of Asher, was retrospectively punished for that.
Okay, they recalled Asher's childhood and some of the things he did, and one of the things he did was he gave the instructor of threes a lot of trouble because he couldn't use precise language. Okay.
Chief elder said that I forgot the exact phrase, but it's like looking on the Asher. Now we have to punish his instructor.
Okay. All right. How were smaller children punished? Vasant, will you have that one?
Yes, they have a special device kind of thing to smack them. It's like sting. It will sting you like an ant or a bee, like that. So it will hurt you for a very short time of period.
Okay. Do you remember what this device was called?
It's kind of a stick, and they hit you in your hands. You said something wrong, so it's kind of punishment. You did something wrong. You said something wrong, so you need to correct yourself. Something like that.
Okay. It was called a discipline wand.
Oh, yes, discipline.
Okay. Like Harry Potter, a magic wand.
Yeah.
It's a little stick, and it hurts when you hit someone with it.
Do you know this technique of learning is kind of corrective because you are punished for something you did wrong. So you need to feel something pain, and you will rethink when you are doing something wrong. It's kind of it's a methodology, I think. I don't remember what is the name of this methodology, but it was used before in the schools.
We call it negative reinforcement.
Oh, yeah.
In today's words, punishment and reward. Okay, the carrot and the stick. If you've ever heard of the carrot and the stick is the punishment wand. The carrot is the reward. So do you remember when a child, have we had when a child is can be punished with the wand? Have we had that in a chapter yet? Might be a later chapter. Okay.
No, not in this one.
Okay.
I don't remember in this one.
Okay. All right. So they use a discipline wand on small children. Okay. So when Asher was small and he was 3, he was often punished for not using precise language. And the chief elder brought up a childhood example that everyone laughed about. What was Asher's childhood example of receiving the discipline wand when he was 3? Who'd like to do that one, Tariel or Vasanth?
Well, he said always smack instead of snack. So Jonas always remained Asher. So about the word is snack.
Okay, he said, I want my smack.
Yeah.
Ow! Why'd you do that? You wanted a smack. I meant snack. Okay, so a snack is food, and a smack is punishment.
It's a smack, it's a punishment. Yeah, it's a kind of small hit you.
All right, very good. So, Vasanth, after Asher got smacked a few times when he was 3, how did that affect him for the rest of the year?
Yes, he stopped talking for a while.
Okay. He kind of, okay, was afraid he'd say something wrong and get smacked again, so he kind of didn't talk as much after that until he got better. Okay. All right.
Poor Asher.
All right. What was Asher's assignment at the ceremony of 12s here? Vasanth, I'll let you take that one.
Yes, assistant director of recreation. But I don't mean what the recreation means. What is the nature of job?
Okay, you don't know recreation. Tariel, can you define recreation for us?
Yeah, it's the area with the kids meet together for play. So they can play, they can laugh, they can feel free themselves. So Asher, when he is a new assistant for the recreation area, is to help the director. So he will, assist or will help the kids in the recreation area. It's kind of, I think it's kind of playground, something, or probably small park.
It can be anything. In America, we have what we call recreation centers. It's a building where kids can go, teenagers or maybe 6-year-olds. It has activities that kids can do. It might have a swimming pool. It might have a basketball court. It might have a volleyball net. It might have badminton nets. It might have some weights. It's just for teenagers and young kids to go there and do activities for fun or relaxation. So sport, reading, might have a little reading library. Recreation is relaxing activities. Yeah. Okay. So as you said, Tariel, play. Okay. All right. Do you have buildings like that in your neighborhood, like a recreation center that kids can go to and do kids activities for fun or team play?
Yes, we have. Well, it's not too nearest to my home, but we have the park. We have the 2 pools, park. I mean, it's a playground area with swings, monkey bars, slides, and there is other area when the teen can, practice skateboard. There are a basketball court, ping pong. You can. It's an area when that you can how do you say with the dog. It's a dog area So you
Dog
can
parks. Okay, we
dog
call them
parks,
dog
exactly.
parks where your dogs can play with each other.
Yeah, so you can run, ride your bike, play volleyball. So it's a big one.
So it may be a recreation area like a park, or it could be a recreation building, or it might be both, a building and a park. So, okay. Vasanth, what about you? Does India have recreation areas like that in neighborhoods?
Yes, in villages, no, not. But in some improved cities, we have parks, right? So the children can go there.
Okay. It gives the kids something to do besides make trouble.
Maybe.
Okay. They can play with each other. Sometimes a bunch of kids will get together and play ball. It builds their social skills and builds friendship and gives them something to do when they're bored to death. Okay. All right. Very good. So they thought that Asher would be good as a recreation director because why? Why did they think that? Why did they choose that for him based on their observation of him? Yvonne, do you remember why they picked this job for Asher?
Not exactly. Not exactly. I can guess that he was a kind of that type, likes to play, not very concentrated or something like this.
That's exactly what it was. He was not his volunteer hours were just kind of scattered around, and he didn't seem to concentrate on any one thing. He acted kind of goofy, kind of silly, always liked to kind of play. So they just felt like he would be good for that kind of a job. Okay.
Probably Asher he can think, but he can play with a younger. So he's very playful. So I think it's perfect assignment for Asher.
Okay. Okay, so when Jonas's turn came as number 19, what happened that was unusual? Toriel, I'll let you take that one.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the chief elder skipped Jonas. So Jonas was, a mouse because he was 19, and she skipped him because he was peer. Yes, so
He was what?
Fiona was 18, and Jonas was 19, and Pierre was 20. So when it was Jonas' turn, she skipped him.
Okay, so all right. And she didn't explain why?
No, so the people in the community, it was, asking about what happened. And Jonas, he was thinking why she skipped me. So probably he was thinking I did something wrong. So he didn't know why she skipped him. It was his turn. So he didn't get at this point his assignment.
Okay. Vasanth, anything you want to add to that?
No, after that, Jonas felt more apprehensive than before.
Okay, like, what did I do to deserve this punishment? I'm not going to get an assignment.
Yeah,
maybe I'll be released. I don't know. Okay. So everyone's focused on what's going on here. Okay.
So it's not mistakes. So it's why in the sequence he was skipped a number. In this point, in this case, it was Jonas.
Okay, that's true. He considered, did the chief elder make a mistake? Did she skip over me by mistake? And Vasanth, what did he think about the chief elder possibly making a mistake?
No, there's zero possibility for making a mistake for the chief elder. So
he had absolute confidence in the elders. They don't make mistakes. Okay. It's got to be me. Something wrong with me. Okay. Very good. Okay. And we've kind of touched on this, but I made it a thought question. When someone, when they're calling on people one at a time and someone is skipped, what's your immediate thought about why that person was skipped? Yvonne, do you want to touch that one? What's your immediate thought when someone is skipped in a normal sequence?
Well, it's mean something extraordinary. It's mean it's very bad or very good, but it's something not in the row. That's why row is broken.
Okay, so something extraordinary.
Mhm.
Do we tend to think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
We can predict. It can be both.
You can, yeah, you can take both sides, the good or the bad things.
Okay. All right. I generally tend to think the bad thing first, but
Yeah,
that's me. Okay. Like, uh-oh, when someone's skipped, I go, uh-oh.
oh, something is wrong. I did something wrong. What's going on? What I
Exactly.
did? Yeah.
Okay. So our next question is, what do you think about this process of handing out assignments in this community? Pros and cons of it.
Mm.
Sorry, I'll let you tell me the pros. What do you think is good about this assignment method?
Well, I think every assignment was chosen meticulously. So every young people has his or her right assignment. Is con, you know, you had a list and you have the multiples of tasks in your community. So you are assigning the right thing for each person. So it's kind of to control, to give you or to give the community, to be more organized. Oh my goodness, organize. I don't.
Organization?
Yes, organization.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
okay, they monitor people, so it should be an assignment that fits their skills, their interests based on their volunteer hours, and it makes sure that every job in the community is given to someone, so it's good for organization. All the jobs are assigned to people. Asanthe, what about the cons? Is there anything bad about this assignment method in your opinion?
Um, as for now, nothing. But I don't think there's any retirement in this case. So they have to work in that assignment forever.
Okay, so
Until,
it's your permanent job, okay?
yeah. So it's boring sometimes.
Okay. Maybe boring, so the con might be, what if they give you a job you don't want? Has that ever happened?
It will be hard because you are unhappy with that. It's going to be thoughtful. So, I mean, in the case of Asher, I mean, it's perfect because he fit in his assignment. But what happened with a person is not happy with the assignment. It will be tough. It will be tough. Is to do every day, doing things that you don't like. Is probably stressful. It's boring. Is I don't know how to explain. Is horrible thing. I mean, it's kind of, oh my goodness, I need to work. Oh, I'm unhappy. So
okay, that's kind of why Jonas was apprehensive in chapter 1. He was afraid, what if I get an assignment I don't like? I could be miserable, so that's what he was worried about, Okay, Vasant?
Yes, because if someone hates his job, I'm talking about the general world. If somebody hates his job, then he can go to his whatever he wants, so as a hobby. But if he was working throughout his life in in the same assignment, then if he gets bored, then he could not move to anything because he likes that, and if he gets bored, then nothing else could amuse him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can change jobs easily here. You get an assignment and that's it, you know?
Mhm.
Okay. Has there ever been a case where someone got an assignment they didn't like?
It was in the last chapter when a guy, he was to get engineer assignment, and he got the labor, I think.
I think
So
trash collector or something. Yeah,
trash collector. So he
Okay.
crossed the river, and they believe, or probably, we don't know, he went to join to other community, but I don't think so.
Okay. So, and I think the rules say, what do the rules say if you don't like your assignment?
You can go to wherever's place.
You can be released and go elsewhere,
Uh-huh.
I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or you can apply to the committee and it'll go to a committee for study. Okay. All right, very good. So it has pros and cons. If it's a suitable job, that's good. If it's not suitable, that's bad. And you could get bored in it after 10 years, but you're stuck with it until you get old. So hopefully they make a good choice. All right.
Yeah.
What kind of assignment would you like to get if you lived in this community? Yvonne, let's start with you.
Obviously, the giver.
Yeah, you want to be the giver? Well, you don't know about the giver yet.
Well, but we don't know, about many professions in the society. We know that some pilots exist. I don't know what about drivers. What about IT workers?
Let's assume it's all there. What would you choose as your assignment? IT?
IT probably.
Okay. So you'd stay in IT, okay? Tario?
Well, I would like to get engineer.
Engineer?
Yeah, because I think I have a strong skill for math and science. So I like to build things. So I have analytic skills too. So it's more easy for me explain something with numbers than I can speak, because it's, math and science is called accurate things. And when you are, to try to speak with someone else sometimes it's difficult. So is the reason that I will choose engineer.
Okay. A particular field of engineering, mechanical or civil or electrical or chemical?
Well,
what kind would you like, do you think?
Well, I would like some electronics.
Electronics, okay.
Yes. I mean, actually, I have that degree in electronics and communications, but my field is kind of optical fibers. So it's very interesting. So I choose that.
Okay. All right. Vasanth, what about you? What assignment do you like to be given?
I would choose recreation center, like playing with children, because they have the pure minds, like a white paper. So when you play with them, you become a child. So
okay, so you like the young minds that you can mold and watch them grow and develop and change and maybe guide them a little bit and be their mentor. Okay. All right, very good. Me, I don't know, assignment. If I had a choice, I'd probably go into IT myself. I like to program computers. I like programming languages. I like to write programs and make the computer do things automatically for me. So I kind of enjoy that. But I'm like Tauriel, I like something technical and challenging that's not likely to get boring, you know.
Yeah, it's always a way to improve things. So it's a thing that where you can improve it, you know.
I see people working as cashiers or waitresses for years. And I'm going, how can you do the same job year after year after year and you don't learn anything new? I just can't imagine the people that can do that.
I think it depends whether you feel. For example, I have a friend and she's IT and she's, working in a federal building. So she preferred to talk with people. So when I asked her, why don't you change your field because you are IT? So she said me, I'm happy when I help people, when I talk with the people. So she's happy. Oh, obviously, her wage is lower, but she's happy because she can interact with other people. So not in my case, but it didn't work for me, but he's working for her. So it's
Okay.
kind of interest.
Okay.
I think I know the answer. In all times in USR we have some formal procedure, some kind of assignment. You know, if you got a free university for some specialty, you have to work for this specialty, and the government will direct you where to work. It can be any place on map in Russia. You will go there and wait for 5-10 years, and in many cases people understand they don't want that. They just choose the specialty in the wrong way. So what they start to do, they start to have a lot of hobbies. You know, they not concentrated on work. They concentrated on something else. You know, rafting or something else. Do some models of planes.
The hobby becomes their life and work becomes a distraction.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I had for this. Is there anything you would like to say about this chapter or the community in general at this point?
I can remember that when I read that first, I like this tension. I like this tension of the story when, you know, I expect that it's my order, my cue. It's my number now, but no one asked me. No one claims what is my assignment, and I like it that it's kind of tension.
That's true. If there's only like 3 IT jobs and there's 5 people interested, 2 people are going to be disappointed. So that's another problem. Limited job openings, maybe. Yeah. So that's another reason you might be disappointed. Okay. Vasanth mentioned it didn't look like there's any retirement plan. It doesn't look like there's any salary system. It just seems like you get given food and you go to work every day, and it's almost like communism, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone contributes, everyone gets food, everyone gets a job. So
But it's a good thing. I mean, we don't have in this community poor people. So every people have something to do. So every people contribute at the community. So it's a balance. Maybe it's not a perfect utopia, but it can work.
okay, Vasanth?
And I noticed one thing. In the previous chapter, we learned that Asher reached the adolescent time. He got the tablet experience before Jonas. And in this chapter, we learned that he born before Jonas because I think he was 4. Asher was 4 and 19. So he is older than him. So he reached the puberty, I think. quickly before
Mm,
Jonas. It makes sense.
And it does happen, right? It does happen. But that's a good point. Asher was younger, but apparently he got the stirrings earlier than Jonas. Okay. So physically he aged more, I guess, or quicker. Okay. Good point. Okay. You may have heard him mention tablets. A tablet is the same as a pill.
mhm.
We call them tablets or pills. Okay. As opposed to a computer tablet or a notebook tablet. All right.
Yeah.
So tablet has several different meanings. Okay.
So,
All right. What do you think about the system of elders monitoring everyone and making decisions and rules for you? Does that still seem like a good method for this community right now?
can you repeat, please?
The elders kind of monitor everyone, choose your assignments for you. They make rules that everyone has to obey. At this point in the book, after 7 chapters, how do you feel that system is working so far?
Mm,
Controlled by the committee of elders. Does that seem like a good method of government?
oh,
Do you see any cons to it, or does it look like a pretty good, stable system of government?
oh, let me think. Mm, okay.
Well,
Are there any?
I don't know
Yes.
is it extremely good, but I know that in humankind history we had this many times. So it's in many tribes, in many regions of humankind we had that, and I would say that some tribes, even in Russia, even in small regions, they still have a big respect for elders, and the word of elders, of commit of elders, it's something like a law. You can break this, at least not easily.
Mhm.
Okay, so Yvonne is saying we do have small villages and tribes and maybe small towns that do use this method. They elect a council of maybe 5 or 10 men, and they kind of govern the small village or town and decide what's acceptable and what's not. So this actually is in practice in a lot of places. I would expect Vasant, India's got a lot of villages that rule this way too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But for me, this community seems this elders governance seems a little bit autocratic, or something bad is happening there, because when at the end of this chapter, the elder, the chief elder, paused for a moment, and she looked at him, and he skipped the number and moved it to the 20. That means, okay, something bad is happening. Yeah, she might sense that he is going to be a threat for the community, or threat for the government, or like that. Like, he's the special one. He suspects something wrong in this community, so he might be a threat to our government. So like something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so you think that skipping him might be a little sinister, like maybe there's something wrong with him, or he's going to be singled out and punished or something, maybe. Okay. Next chapter we'll find out, but for right now it's like, what's going on? Okay, good suspense.
I think Jonas, it will be something good for him. It's something special because he did his volunteer hours. So he respect the old rules, almost. But I think it is something good for Jonas.
Okay, so we have
It's my
maybe
feeling.
a difference of opinion here. Vasant thinks something bad is coming. Tario thinks something good's coming. Okay.
Yeah, I think in the end of the ceremony of 12, Jonas will get his assignment.
Okay. All right.
I
All right. Our
It's
time is
no
almost
mistake.
up. All right. So in the next chapter, we're going to find out what his assignment is. Okay. And we'll find out why she skipped him. So the answer's coming. Okay. Anything else about the book at this point in time?
Mm.
Vasanth, let me ask you a question. I know India's got a lot of small villages, a lot of old people, some modern, some really backward or primitive. For villages that have elders that kind of run the village, do you know if the people in that village are generally happy with that kind of government or unhappy?
I mean, you're talking about the government, right?
Well, small villages that have like a committee of elders that kind of run the village.
Okay.
Local elder rule, if you will.
Yes, it's used to be like that. A bunch of old people govern. If any issues happen, then they, like a court, they bring both sides and they do that thing. Okay, they hear their what do you call it? Their opinion, and they will give the sentence or something like that. They'll give the verdict to that issue.
So my question is, was the village people, were they generally happy with that kind of a system, or were they generally unhappy with that kind of a system?
No, that's an unhappy, because that's mostly based on, sometimes it can be depend on the caste system. So the verdict can be depend on the caste system. So
okay, because of the caste system.
Like it. So they didn't like it.
Didn't like it. Okay, so you've gone to more of a formal election kind of system that the people have a little more control. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Taria, what about you?
No, not in my country. They are. I mean, we have a president. We have the consuls. So is all people live under the same rules. So, but I had a question. I think in America there is a small community, the Amish community. So is a people who lives in a specific location with a specific rules. So is I think something.
Yeah, the Amish people are very close to this community in a way. They are a very primitive people. They're religious.
Yes.
They do not believe in technology. They believe that technology was not God's intention, that they should be simple farmers and work hard. They shun electricity. They do not use cars. They use horse-pulled wagons. And they, in the wintertime, they do not use electric heat. They live very primitively. They still use firewood for heat and cooking. So you can imagine how their children feel when their children see what other kids have and they've got nothing. You can imagine the younger kids want out. They want to go out there and be like real people. So the Amish society or way of life is under threat because of the internet and society. But there are small communities of Amish people that still live very primitively. And I've seen some of these communities. They, in the wintertime, they're in this little small horse-drawn buggy going down the road.
Okay.
It's
so they can go out of the community to get some food or some groceries?
Right, and the old people are okay with that, but the young kids, when they go out and see other kids with cell phones and earphones and bicycles and motorcycles and cars and houses with heat, the kids don't understand, why are we living backward like this, like we're in a cave? and it's just religious reasons. So the younger kids, you might imagine, are starting to rebel against the Amish
Yeah.
way of life. Yeah.
I think so.
A lot of them move away and don't come back. But we still have some small communities of Amish people today. They make their money by making wooden furniture.
Oh,
So sometimes we'll see places they'll say Amish furniture for sale. That's the only thing they can do. They don't believe in manufacturing. They don't believe in machines. So they use hammer and nail and wood to make furniture and sell it. That's their trade work if they're not a farmer.
But if I can, speaking about traditional communities and chief elders and committees of elders, when I was young, I was irritated just by idea of that. Any advice any advice given me by older generation, I just cannot stand it. I was the smartest one, and I don't need your advices at all. But as older I get, it's changed. Now I like this idea. I like advices from older generation. I produce a lot of advices to younger generation. So I think it's a human nature.
Okay, very good. We have a joke about a teenager and a dad. And the teenager comes up to the dad and says, "Dad, when I was 10, you didn't know anything. You were just dumb as a rock. But now that I'm 15, you've suddenly become very smart. You've learned a lot." So it's the same idea, you know, they don't see you very smart until they get older, and then they realize you know a lot, you know. My son used to ask me questions, and I would give him an answer just off the top of my head, you know, boom. He said, "Dad, what's the Munich Massacre, Dad?" "Oh, that's the Olympic Games back in a long time ago when some people were killed, you know." And he'd say, and after a while, he'd say, "How do you know these things, Dad?" You know, he was just amazed that any question he would ask, I would know the answer off the top of my head. "What's this, Dad?" "Oh, that's that." "What's this, Dad?" "What's that?" "What was the Cuban Missile Crisis, Dad?" "Oh, that was this." "How do you know these things?" Because they don't study them in school. So he was just amazed at the knowledge in my head. And I said, "Nikolai, I'm 60 years old. I lived when these things were happening. I read news, TV, radio, magazines, newspapers. You just absorb this knowledge over time." But he was just amazed at the knowledge in my head. Only when he got older.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's funny. Parents and kids are funny. And Yvonne will be the same way. Your kids, when they're small, they think Dad knows everything. Right. And then as they get older, you make a mistake or two, and they say, "You can make a mistake, Dad? Wow."
Yeah, exactly.
And then they learn that you're not super perfect after all. So that breaks your heart when your daughter becomes that way. But for sons, maybe not so bad.
Now they at this time they ask me how many hours a day we should exercise to be like you.
What do I do to get your job, Dad? Ambitious, yeah. Okay, everyone, that's all we have time for. I thank you for attending, and I'll post the next assignment, and you'll be able to find out what Jonas's assignment's going to be, or why he was skipped anyway. Let's put it that way. Okay, we'll see you next week, okay?
Thank
you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.